Unfortunately, the red squirrel is in a bit of a tight spot in the UK right now due to an invader from America, Piers Morgan. No, I mean the American gray squirrel. Hey guys, I'm Eric.
And I'm Grace. We're the Wandering Ravens.
We are a couple of Americans living here in Paris, but we make videos about British culture 3 times a week.
So make sure you hit the subscribe button and whack the notification bell so that you never miss a new video.
Cheers. Today we are introducing you to 9 animals that live in the UK that you won't find living in America.
So if you like cute British animals, make sure that you give this video a big thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and let's get into it.
Muntjac deer.
Originally native to Asia, the Muntjac deer invaded the UK around 1925 when some Muntjacs, pet Muntjacs, escaped from an estate in Bedfordshire.
Oh no. Since then, the Muntjac has bred like rabbits and run wild across the British countryside, and the British Deer Society is predicting that very soon they will become the most populous deer in the United Kingdom.
Wow.
Yeah, so they are taking over the place. And this can be demonstrated in how they did start in England, but they are in Wales as well as Scotland, and they've even been spotted in Northern Ireland. And the funny thing with Northern Ireland is that there's no way that the Muntjac could have gotten there without human help. So that means that someone has actually ferried Muntjacs from Britain across to Northern Ireland.
Wow.
And they are now getting established there. And fun fact, they are called barking deer because the calls they make sound like dogs. The first time we ever heard about Muntjacs was in the UK. We were staying in the Midlands and we were visiting a friend's house, and the gal showing us around their garden, she was saying, you know, it's been a bad year. We've been suffering from Muntjacs this year. Both Grace and I looked at each other and like, what's a Muntjac?
Should we be afraid?
Do they eat people? Is this a bear? It sounds really terrifying. The name Muntjac.
Well, what I envisioned was like a huge jackrabbit, like the angry kind that they have in the south.
Okay, like the ones with big hind
that
legs,
kick you or
tall
whatever,
ears.
right?
No, they run away from you, but
Oh, for some reason. No, I'm getting them mixed up with roos now.
kangaroos. It's a British kangaroo, the Muntjac.
Slow worms.
The first time we saw photos of a slow worm, we immediately assumed it to be a snake. But in actuality, as many British people definitely know, this thing is a legless lizard.
What's the difference between a legless lizard and a snake? Because they sound pretty, like, synonymous.
Yes, and they look very similar. But from what I understand, the difference is that legless lizards have vestigial legs. So inside of the slow worm, they actually do have particles that used to be legs, and then also they have a long tail. So whereas snakes have a long body and a small tail, the legless lizards have a short body and a long tail. And you can tell which part of the slow worm is the tail because if you grab it from its tail, it will actually sever its tail in order to escape from you, which is a characteristic that lizards have. Unfortunately for the slow worm, it can only do this once in its life, so try not to grab a slow worm by the tail because once it loses its tail, its big tail's gone. It will grow back a tail, but it's a short little stumpy thing, not nearly as glamorous as its original tail.
Fun fact, while most lizards and snakes lay eggs, slow worms actually hatch their eggs inside of their bodies and give birth to live babies.
Whoa! Another fun fact, when I was doing research for this video, I found out that the record age for a slow worm in captivity was 54 years. So these little guys live a really long time.
It's almost like a turtle at that rate. Not really though, because turtles live forever.
Natterjack toads.
These friendly-looking amphibians are a rare find in the UK, but they can still be found in coastal sand dune systems, coastal marshes, as well as sandy heaths. Unfortunately, due to habitat loss, the natterjack toad is considered an endangered species, and so it is an offense to kill, capture, injure, or even disturb them.
So try not to talk to a natterjack toad on the public transit because it will probably disturb them, being British, and you will be charged. Yeah.
You will have offended.
You will have offended them.
But fortunately, their croaking calls can be heard up to a mile away, so you can enjoy them from a distance. From a safe, non-disturbing distance.
Yes.
Hedgehogs.
We don't have hedgehogs in America, except as pets, and even then, they're not British hedgehogs. I believe it's a smaller African variety, which people use as pets.
Fun fact, did you know that Beatrix Potter actually had a pet hedgehog? I believe her pet hedgehog actually inspired the character of Mrs. Tiggywinkle.
So that makes me wonder if hedgehogs in the UK are good at washing clothes. Because Tiggywinkle is a washer maid, right? Question for you, if you're British, have you ever caught hedgehogs washing clothes in the garden?
Doing the laundry.
Yes.
Doing the washing.
I read this thing once which said that in the Middle Ages, I believe it was the Middle Ages, there was this rumor that people believed that hedgehogs would actually steal milk from cows by sucking on their teats and thus depleting your supply of milk. So they were seen as a thieving little creature. I don't understand how they figured that worked, because the hedgehog is like this high off the ground and the cow's teat is like this high off the ground. Yeah. Jump nurse. Yeah.
So they kind of thought about it how we do like crows or ravens, you know, that steal things.
Except crows do steal things.
Yeah.
Yeah, shiny objects. Lock those things down, otherwise the ravens will steal them.
Yeah, ever wonder why we named ourselves the Ravens? Don't invite us to your house.
Don't invite us to your house.
You'll look up in the silver wall, be gone.
We're not digital nomads. We're on the run from the United States law enforcement. We pinched one too many things.
Yeah.
We couldn't help it. It was shiny, all right?
Trump's toupee was one of them.
As we learned when we were in the UK last, hedgehogs are adorable, but looks don't pay the bills, and unfortunately hedgehogs are declining in record numbers. Like, it's astounding how quickly these little things are dying off. From what we've heard, people in the UK are trying to help bring the hedgehogs back by building little hedgehog houses in their gardens and yards to give hedgehogs a habitat to live in. So, question for you, if you have a hedgehog house in your garden, what does it look like? And does it have a wash tub for doing the washing?
You're not gonna get over that, are you?
No. Paddington Bear.
Famous for his polite manners, adorable hat, and taste for marmalade, Paddington Bear cannot be found in the United States because marmalade isn't that common in Yankee Land. The Scottish Wildcat.
This is a fun one for us because the first time we heard that Scotland had wildcats, we immediately imagined these large mountain lion type of cats, because that's what we call wildcats in America, are these pumas, panthers, mountain lions that occasionally eat hikers and dogs, and you don't let children run around in the woods in some parts of the States.
They're so scary.
The wildcats will take them away.
Terrifying.
Yeah, they're really scary. So when I first heard about them, I was surprised because I had never heard about predators in the UK. And immediately I was like, oh shoot, I thought I only had to worry about Nessie, but now Scotland's got wildcats too. So imagine our surprise when we eventually pulled up photos of Scotland's wildcats and found out that these creatures, these vicious beasties, are about the size of a regular house cat, although they can get up to 2 times as large as a regular house cat.
Maybe they're like
A little bit. Yeah, this is like...
I never owned cats, I don't know.
They're like a Maine Coon.
Maybe. So like a big cat.
Yeah, they're like a big house cat. But don't mistake these adorable little fur babies as house cats, because despite their size, they do have the attitude and demeanor of a full-sized mountain lion, just, packaged into a smaller body. They are a very old breed of cat, though. From what I found out during my research for this article, is that their history in the UK goes back over 9,000 years. So this little cat has been wandering around the UK for a really long time.
Wow, that is impressive.
Red squirrels. I love them. They are so cute.
My introduction to the red squirrel was through Beatrix Potter's Tale of Squirrel Nutkin, which taught me to be very afraid of owls and riddles.
Same.
Probably why to this day I can never get riddles, ever.
And to this day I am still afraid of owls.
Okay, I'm gonna offend a lot of people, but the cute owl craze, I don't get it. To me, that's something that would haunt me. It's Duolingo's fault.
Duolingo's fault. Getting all those owl threats.
Yeah. Seriously. It's so passive aggressive.
Unfortunately, the red squirrel is in a bit of a tight spot in the UK right now. No, not due to owls, but due to an invader from America, Piers Morgan. No, I mean the American gray squirrel. Over the years, this invasive American species has caused a steep decline in the red squirrel population, but the red squirrel is coming back with help from the next animal on our list.
The pine marten.
While we do have pine martens in America, they are different from the kind which roam the Scottish Highlands in the UK.
Fortunately for red squirrels, the pine marten has developed a sort of sweet tooth for the invasive gray squirrels.
As a result, gray squirrel population in the UK is on the decline and the red squirrel is slowly starting to make a comeback. This is because in the United States, gray squirrels do not share the forest with pine martens and so don't know how to cohabitate together. So the pine marten is able to eat them. But the red squirrels do have a very long history of sharing the woods with the pine marten, and so red squirrels know how to share the space together and how to avoid getting eaten by pine martens.
So good news all around. Both the pine marten and the red squirrel are making a comeback in the UK.
Hey!
Cheers to that.
The Shelly.
The Shelly is a member of the salmon family, native to the UK's Lake District.
This fun-loving fish exists nowhere else in the world except in the 4 lakes which make up the Lake District.
Oh wow.
Based on the research I did for this video, way back during the Ice Age, as the glaciers were retreating and carving their jagged scars across the earth, in the UK, they left these big holes, which eventually became the 4 lakes of the Lake District, and as the glaciers retreated, the ocean moved in, bringing in these whitefish, is what they're called, the whitefish species. But then as the land rose and the salt water went away, the lakes eventually filled up with fresh water, killing off most of the sea life that had been trapped there because they were, saltwater animals. But the robust little Shelly survived, quickly adapting from saltwater to freshwater, and now lives there and is a very unique species, native specifically to those lakes. Hi, in case you don't know us, we're Eric and Grace, and this channel documents our journey of discovery as we learn about life and culture in the UK.
We have a goal of reaching 50,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, so do hit subscribe if you want to join us on this journey. 50,000 sounds like a lot. Do you think we can actually do that?
Well, my American optimism says yes, but British restraint is telling me to not get too excited and to instead make a cup of tea.
As always, a huge thank you to our patrons, and especially to Jonathan Ketty, our chuffed virtuoso. We couldn't have made this video without you.
Again, I'm Eric.
And I'm Grace.
We're the Wandering Ravens.
And we will see you guys next time.
Bisous.